But first, we got to start right where it matters, which is Scorpio. I'm Ryan McCaffrey. To my right, Destin Legary.
Hey, everybody.
Alana Pierce and Marty Sleva.
Whoa.
Rounding out the crew. So
It's early.
well, for us.
sleepy.
Yeah, not for whoever's watching or listening. Yeah. So perk up over there, Destin.
We'll get there.
But yeah, we got a lot of information on the Scorpio this morning as of our recording, thanks to an exclusive from our friends at Eurogamer/Digital Foundry, the absolute experts in jargon. And I mean that in the most complimentary way, because those guys understand tech at the deepest, darkest levels. And they got to go to Microsoft campus and see a lot, not as far as the hardware goes. So I guess we'll start with the overview. Here's what we know so far. This thing is going to have an internal power supply, the same way the Xbox One S does, which is great news. In fact, they'll take the same plug. It's got a 4K Blu-ray drive in it, which you would probably have assumed given the S does. You can't imagine the premium product wouldn't have had it, but confirmation that it will be there. A 1 terabyte hard drive.
Not solid state.
Not a solid state drive, but a 1 terabyte hard drive. I was hoping for a little more, but I was also figuring it was probably going to be 1 terabyte. And a very unique cooling architecture that helps them pull off all the little magic tricks that they're trying to get out of this thing. Vapor chamber heat sink cooling, Marty.
Vape chamber.
So,
why did you look at me?
I know you love to vape, so.
It's the hipster console it vapes. It would fit in well in San Francisco.
Yes, absolutely.
So yeah, what did you guys think of everything that you read after digging through the article?
It was interesting. I mean, for me, it's nice to see that it's going to be much more powerful. Yeah, it's just it's a lot of tech jargon, so it's really, really cool. I'm really obviously still excited about the Scorpio, but for me, like, I want to see stuff running on it. We only got that one image of Forza.
We still have to see it in person, you know? Like, it's so hard to stream those things or watch a video because you can't necessarily have a 4K monitor. So we need to see that stuff in person. The thing that excited me is that they said that it will be a VR ready out of the box. And again, we still don't really know what that means, but I've been banking on that for such a long time. I really want VR on Xbox, and that was the one thing I was hoping for the most with this, and it seems like that.
Well, when Phil was here, he sort of intimated that it won't be right away. That they're kind of going to sit on the sidelines of VR for a little while.
No, I get that. I think Marty relayed that to me, where the idea was that they don't want to make VR until the hardware is really good for everyone, whereas right now it is really bulky. There's a lot of cords, and I totally I respect that. Like, they're not rushing to produce a product. They're waiting until they think it's the right time and waiting until it will actually be really feasible. So yeah, I'm stoked about that.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that they detailed how this will benefit people if you have a 4K TV versus how it will benefit people like me who just have a 1080 TV, and I don't intend on upgrading to a 4K TV, anytime soon. I'm super happy with my TV, but the fact that for current Xbox One games that you own and 360 games, even that there will be improved things like frame rate and improved load times, like, I think that's cool. Granted, there's not a whole lot of games right now that like the load times really upset me with, and a lot of games do end up getting patched for better load times. I feel like the only game this generation that had bad load times was Bloodborne at launch, and that's obviously not an Xbox problem.
You say that, but there's always a thing where you think load times are fine, and then you try it on something better, and then you go back and you're like,
totally.
no.
Oh, yeah.
I'll give you, Doom from last year's a good example. I played it on PC because that's right to my PC roots, and then playing it on, so I think it was Jose and I were on a trip, and he brought his PS4 on a work trip, playing it on PS4. Not that the load times were terrible, but it was just like...
in comparison.
What?
I mean, that's the thing, is you only notice when you see a side-by-side.
Yeah, pretty much.
I also like the super sampling note for 4K on a 1080 monitor. That's going to be great for 1080 owners. They're guessing the price based on the guts will be $499. How do you feel about that?
I maintain my stance that as an armchair asshole on the internet, I think that's a bad idea. Of course, Microsoft's full of people that are a lot savvier and smarter than me, but I still think they can premium the hell out of this thing and say it's going to be this much better and that much better. But when you are the second place console, hey, they're selling well, but they are not the market leader. I just don't think you can go above your competition.
Well, and especially if it is $500 this fall, there's there are going to be $250 PS4 bundles.
Yeah.
And so how do you compete when your thing is literally twice as expensive? Well, if it is again.
Phil again when he was here did say that they expect to sell way more Xbox One S's. So not quite, maybe not a fair comparison there, but if I'm, if I either maybe I haven't upgraded yet at all this generation, or I've got a PS4 Xbox One, I'm thinking, and I got a 4K TV, and I think, all right, well, do I want to just go ahead and go with the PS4 Pro, or do I want to go with this shiny, newer, fancier Scorpio? $499 versus $399 for the Pro. So that's where I think it's.
Well,
I don't know.
In terms of marketing, if it's a better product and it's slightly more expensive, you can trick people into thinking that something is of far more value. Like, that's actually a strategy that's like, well, we make it more expensive than our competitor, so people automatically, even on a shelf, if they don't want to buy one, think our brand is better quality than our competitor.
Didn't work for Xbox One compared to PS4.
Well, but they had a terrible launch. That's. But I feel like it could legitimately be a thing. I only say this because I studied marketing. That they would make this more expensive in the hopes that people will think the Xbox brand is more quality, and then will buy Xbox One S's. Like, that could legitimately be a thing. But my formal guess is probably that the biggest difference between the two companies in terms of this kind of stuff is Microsoft doesn't make all of their money off of Xbox. It's a huge company.
True.
Whereas Sony has PlayStation really driving them. And you imagine someone like Phil goes to head office and is like, all right, this is how much we want it to cost. They're like, what? How much are we going to lose on that? How much profit is that? And they're like, no, not enough. Bring it up. Whereas Sony's direction is a lot more PlayStation focused, so it's different for them, I think.
The head office is known as the Vapor Chamber.
The Vapor Chamber, yeah.
I mean, ultimately, this was interesting for people who want to get into the nitty gritty. None of this matters to me until we see what the games look like and we see what the games are. Yeah. And I think E3 is going to be the big moment where Microsoft has to show what games are on the horizon that aren't, Forza, Sea of Thieves, and Crackdown. Yeah. Especially given that, a couple of the huge games got canceled, like, Scalebound and Fable Legends. And so what other games are coming exclusively? And then they have to showcase that third-party games are going to look better on this. So the big games like Destiny and Battlefront and Red Dead and Call of Duty and whatever Ubisoft has this fall, like, they have to showcase that we need to see a side-by-side where people are like, oh, man, if I want to play Assassin's Creed or Red Dead, the place it's going to look best is on, whatever the Scorpio is called.
Yeah.
I appreciate that you used Forza and Horizon directly back in a sentence without
talking about Forza Horizon.
Invoking
it's an off year. That's next year.
But it should be mentioned that they did say that nothing is going to be exclusive to Scorpio, which has been
that's what they've said
already
from the start. Yep. I'm glad.
The three pillars.
Yeah.
I haven't upgraded to a Pro yet, PS4 Pro, and I'm looking at the Scorpio specs here. It looks like 4 gigabytes for system, 8 for games. They're both using GDDR5 RAM,
which isn't a step up from the Xbox One had GDDR3 in it.
Yeah,
slower.
Definitely. The PS4 Pro though, 218 gigabytes a second on the memory there. The Scorpio is 326, so that is a substantial amount of bandwidth that developers are going to be able to harness on the RAM. That was the one nitty gritty aspect of the Scorpio that actually had me pretty excited. So hopefully that translates into fantastic looking games.
Yeah, I guess for those of you interested, I'll buzz through the comparison chart. So the CPU-wise, we've got 8 custom x86 cores clocked at 2.3 gigahertz compared to 8 custom Jaguar cores at 1.75 on the Xbox One and 8 Jaguar cores at 2.1 gigahertz on the PS4 Pro. GPU-wise, it's clocked up. You got 40 customized compute units.
I don't know.
Bespoke.
Yes.
The megahertz are probably
clocked at 1.172 gigahertz compared to on PS4 Pro 911 megahertz. So that's a substantial boost. Yeah, and the RAM. This is you just mentioned it, Destin. Not only the GDDR5 faster memory, but more of it, 50% more of it. 12 gigs of RAM compared to 8 on Xbox One and on PS4 Pro as well. You mentioned the memory bandwidth, and we talked about the hard drive and optical Blu-ray drive situation.
For, movie files, 4K UHD Blu-ray.
Yeah, and that's one of the surprising things that PS4 Pro doesn't have. Whereas the Xbox One has.
That was
strange.
The hardcore did not take that
well.
Justifiably so. They're like, You're Sony.
Yeah.
You're a home electronics.
Yeah.
You have a movie studio that produces movies in 4K.
Yeah.
And your wildly popular console can't play them.
Yeah. Very strange.
But
Eurogamer also said it handles 4K 60 just fine.
No one said if that handles HD DVDs, though, because I still have that copy of Peter Jackson's King Kong.
Still got it?
I still have a few of those.
Yeah.
We've still got our HD DVD player in our display
graveyard,
case.
in our elephant graveyard.
Over there. So what we still don't know are what the box itself looks like, though Eurogamer did suggest that they saw it and that they sort of hinted that they think people will be impressed by the compactness of the box.